they were asked by management kindly to stop live streaming, the language being live stream. You know, I was able to upload the full Boston show with help from some other people. Shout out to them. And we got that up there, and it's there. The Toronto show, shout out to Nelson 575757, and he was able to get that Toronto show, which is incredible, right? No issues there. My taper buddies, Zach did Newark, and he also did Boston. And then Mark did Atlanta. No issues whatsoever. And many times they run into issues trying to tape for mayor. So management wasn't trying to stop any sort of taping. But again, this live stream thing was kind of in question. The Toronto show, we do get post. Someone shared a photo of one of the entrances, and just one. I can't speak for all the other ones because some fans said they didn't see that, but there was kind of a sign saying, hey, no live stream. We're asking you not to live stream, right? It's right there in Toronto. There was a little bit of a report that one specific section in Detroit, a usher was stopping people from taking videos, but then changed their tune in the middle of the show. But fans were still trying to figure out. People were debating and having discussions in the various communities for John Mayer about, is it appropriate to live stream? Is it even appropriate to take video? Should you just put your phone away and enjoy the show? But John puts this statement out, and I think it's great that he put this statement out because it's going to kind of give more clarity to what we can do here. So let's take a look at it again. So in the statement here, John says, I wanted to take a moment to address live streaming at my shows and why I prefer that people not do it. These solo shows are beautiful to me because they are a direct link between myself and the audience. It really is a communal experience. It's harder for me to connect with the room when I get the sense that it's not just us. I find it more difficult to be vulnerable and take chances, and I want to be able to access every last part of my creativity and expression to give the absolute best show I can. After the concert is over, I am fully on board with people sharing audio and video, and I'm grateful for it. John then goes on to say, I hope you can understand my take on this, just as I understand the good intentions of wanting to stream for those who can't attend the show. I know it's easier said than done, but I hope everyone who wants to see this show gets the chance to. Love, John. So I think this announcement is great because there was confusion, and really I think the ball was dropped when management decided to tell people in the middle of a show to stop live streaming. John Mayer Solo, ran by Sarah, I love this page, Sarah has a great heart, comes and flies overseas to go to the Boston show, you know, and invest time and money to try to share this with many of their international friends and family that aren't going to be able to get to the States for this tour. And that was the purpose of the live stream. But to tell somebody in the middle of a show, as far as management, to stop live streaming, that's not the right call. What should have been done is let Sarah stream this show, right, for John Mayer Solos, and then the next show have signage, have announcements, have John make the announcement then that you're going to say from now forward, just so that John's focused and feels comfortable, don't live stream. That was the first place where the ball was dropped. And I empathize with some people who wanted these live streams to stay as is. And then if we even look right here, again, this is a great page, and Sarah has a great heart. And, today the announcement is made, and Sarah then goes and says, listen, I'm so glad that John addresses it. She understands it. I love John, and running this account is my happy place. And that's really what this is. This page, is about just sharing those great moments. Now she understands, okay, I got to record videos. I can't live stream. And if she it's understood. And if that's announced before Boston, I guarantee you this page then records videos, not live streams, but regular videos, and then uploads it to the channel later. So this was where the ball was dropped by management. And John, if you're feeling comfortable, play out that show, right? Do your thing. And then the next day, you got to get the ribbon boards. You got to have the meeting with the people at the venue first thing next morning, have management talk to them, and have signs, clear-cut things to say, listen, and people will comply. What up? What up? It's your boy Conserviz34. I just was playing a little bit of the video I released today on YouTube. And this is something that kind of came out because John Mayer responded to his thoughts on fans live streaming shows. And this brings up a bigger discussion specifically for certain bands. And in this case, I think the bands that and artists that apply the most to this is Dave Matthews Band and John Mayer, whether it's full band, solo, whatever he's doing. These are these are two acts where there is no consistent form of a live stream you can purchase for the majority of the shows. These are two artists, a band and an artist that have diverse set lists. And for John Mayer, for this current tour, he is actually like a comedian on the fly, responding to signs and then playing songs that people that from a request on a sign or reacting to something a fan is doing and then making a song out of it. So what that does is it creates demand for fans to want to be able to experience what it was like if they can't make that show, if they're halfway across the world. They want to have uh, some sort of recording or memory of it, and thus there's different ways that can happen: tape or audio, a recording that is uploaded to YouTube, or a live stream. And if you missed the John Mayer video, my video on John Mayer and his comments, essentially what John said is, he wanted to address this issue and he prefers that people don't live stream. He's okay with fans uploading videos uh, right after the show. He's okay with the tapers, but he really said, listen, I don't like this live stream thing. So what I wanted to do is just have a discussion. This is again tied closely to the worlds of Dave Matthews Band live shows and John Mayer live shows, because again, the uniqueness of what what they do. Anita says this isn't true. This could very well be the end of the D&B couch tour. I will say this: this specific thing is tied to John Mayer. Somebody, Dave does not. Dave and his management do not prohibit live streaming. As a matter of fact, his vocal coach Rab will actually live stream from the stage, from behind the soundboard, from the lawn, from different areas of the venue. So it's not the end of the couch tour. This is not a stream to say, listen, we need to end the couch tour tomorrow, right? We need to even. This is not a stream against the couch tour, but we want to have a discussion about some of the pros and cons of the various types of recording. So what I want to do is bring on two guests, and then after that, after we have a discussion with them for a little bit, if anyone else wants to come on, give their opinion, let me know. We'll try to get you a link through Instagram, through Facebook. Some of you guys, I have your numbers, and I could text it to you. But we want to start off, and let me introduce these guests. So first, we have a buddy who helped secure my first set list ever at a concert. It was a John Mayer concert this year. He is a taper for various shows, not just Dave Matthews Band, not just John Mayer, but he tapes a lot of shows. He has a lot of expertise in live recording, in audio. This is going to be Zach. How
Good
you
evening,
doing?
Marcus. Good to see you.
All right. And then next we have somebody in the D&B community that has given us some of the best quality recordings in 4K. The audio from his videos is arguably better than some of the early days of SiriusXM radio. And even if they were having a bad night, his audio arguably is better than it. And, he's given us a lot of great memories from shows in, again, that full 4K high definition. And this is going to be Andy Mendoza.
Hey Marcus, how's it going? Appreciate the
Good,
kind words.
good to have you on here. Let me just take that off here. So let me move this chat. So let's start off with. I want to start off with Zach first. Just tell us, how did you get into really taping shows and following around D&B and other acts?
Sure. Well, I'm relatively new to the taper scene. I came into the DMB sphere specifically after the 2018-2019 tour, partially because at that point we had a lot of older tapers inside of the scene that didn't that they've got their families, they've put in all that time, they decided to hang up their mics, and we had 2018 and 2019 were some of the worst years in terms of shows not getting recorded and tapes never getting out. And for me, that happened to a handful of shows that I went to those years. So right before the pandemic, I was lucky enough to get tickets to the Las Vegas Cosmopolitan show. And at this point, I had done a little bit of work inside of television and with some audio stuff, so I was pretty familiar with it. But I reached out to some of the tapers, specifically Chris Jones, who helped me secure a really good rig right before Vegas that year. And ironically enough, Vegas was my first show ever that I taped and recorded. And then the next day was Innings Fest of 2020, and nobody was going to go and record that. So I actually drove from Las Vegas that next morning all the way down to Phoenix with a rig, barely knowing what I was doing. And because I was able to get there, that's a reason why we have a recording from that show before the world ended, essentially. And then after that, I just spent, the last 3 years working my way through different acts. And I did a lot of networking, a lot of building up my craft. And now I work with dozens of acts all over the country and even internationally. So I love what I do. I love being able to help make memories for people. And that's really what it's all about. My personal philosophy belief is that the concert experience doesn't end when the house lights go off. I believe that everybody is entitled to have that memory for as long as they want. And I think that's the beautiful thing about taping culture and video culture to that degree. And I look forward to talking a little bit more about that and seeing where everybody else lies.
Awesome. And Andy, tell us about how you got into capturing some of the biggest DMB moments of a concert season.
Oh, that started right around the time in 2018, actually. And before I get started, Zach, I want to say thank you. Before I get started, Zach, I want to say thank you because I do have a and luckily now Apple Music plays the lossless formats, and it is impeccable. So
Well, thank
great
you,
job.
Andy.
Thank
I really
you. We,
appreciate
we
it.
all man, and I got into taping actually kind of by accident. Um, it started in 2016. I hit there was this app that just kind of started to hit, and it was causing some controversy in some other like sporting events. It was called Periscope, and if you broadcast, they could see exactly what you're seeing right then and there. It was big at the time, and I did it for a couple of. I got a lot of appreciation and thanks, and I was starting to see that it was a great feeling knowing that I was able to be there. Only for whatever reason weren't able to be there, and they were experiencing it live, right there with me, at the exact same time, and having the same, but from home or from wherever they are, and it was just it's a hard feeling to describe, but it was really neat. So Periscope and eventually um, over the years evolved into not broadcasting and just going uses a lot of data, and the quality is not there at all as far as visually. So as nowadays, Dave Matthews shows and with the couch tour, reliably you're going to have about there's no shortage of live streams. Uh, so my mentality went from okay, well everyone's going to get their live stream and not during the full show, one take, and straight from my phone and go 4K quality, and I'll update it to YouTube later, going back or going to that format because I love being able to rewatch those again, whether it be my iPad or my TV. It's like you're right there again.
Gotcha. Yeah, Andy, I don't know if you could see we're having a hard time hearing you. It's like a little bit, it's like
How's that? Is
really
that better?
low. Yeah,
it's a little better. It seems like your audio is getting chopped up. I'm not really sure why. Which actually it kind of goes to what Andy was talking about to a degree.
Yep.
One of the biggest issues with live streams is that when it comes to actual quality of signal, the idea of sending like the sheer amount of data that goes into a live stream, especially from these brand new phones that are able to put out raw 8K audio, rather 8K video and pristine audio through the mics that are built into the phones. It's a lot that has to get sent up into an antenna and then eventually get routed through whatever servers that you're using, whether it's in the old days of Periscope or YouTube or Facebook or things like that. So it inevitably gets squashed down to begin with, but to also be able to keep that constant bit rate with no drop in quality, especially on the consumer side nowadays, unless you have a dedicated sat truck that you're putting it out to, which nobody does, it it causes choppy live streams. You've got tons of artifacts and things like that, which is why, like, to a degree, as Andy said, you know, there is something to be said about a better user experience coming in from an actual posted video that was recorded natively onto a device versus being actively streamed into the cloud onto a service like Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, whatever it is.
right. One of the things that is a little bit different between if we look at John Mayer and Dave Matthews, Fody said this in the chat. Dave seems to not be bothered by the DMB couch tour. He'll acknowledge them. He doesn't really have anything. John Mayer, on the other hand, who doesn't tour as much, who he definitely is very self-conscious, and he admits that he gets anxiety. We all do, but he has mentioned his anxiety on stage in recent years. So he seems to be a little bit, that's why he's saying kind of politely, hey, just I don't want people to do that. So we do have a contrast between those two. But what would you guys say, just to kind of pull from the live streaming, the couch tour thing, what are some of the positives of actually being experiencing a live stream?
So I'll kind of just head first and make a couple points, and then Andy can pop in afterwards. One of the biggest things that has worked for um, for the especially the DMB realm for the couch tour live streaming that we see is that the couch tour itself has created its own community, even like a subculture inside of the DMB community. And there's, if you compare and contrast between, say, a YouTube video versus a live stream, there is that sense of instant gratification or that feeling of being connected when you see the live chat scrolling through. You're able to connect immediately with other fans, where in a YouTube comment section that just kind of doesn't happen. And like, I think that to a degree what the couch tour has been able to pull off, especially seeing as it's only really realistically been a thing since the pandemic, or even a little before that, not entirely that, but just before that, is astounding. I mean, you have a group of 15,000 plus people that will consistently bring hundreds, if not in the low one to 2,000s of people sitting on a live stream, interacting actively with other users, enjoying something that they all love together. And I think that's something that should be celebrated and cherished.
Right. The community is built in the couch tour. Um, the joy, even though the best audio, the best videos, and the recordings that are uploaded later, there is a sense that people from their house that can't make a show that are going through tough times can connect with people, can connect with the music. They know the words, they know every part, barring some crazy improv, and it's a link to really help people that need this music as therapy, need this music as joy, need this community in a world that can be very cruel and cold.
Absolutely.
So I think that is something. Andy, can you hear us?
Yeah, it's very low. For some reason, my headphones aren't connecting. Are you able to hear me okay?
Perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just have to struggle here. And for some reason, it is what it is. But like Zach was saying earlier, this is kind of the issue you go with when you're trying to use a phone and upload. This is part of the issue.
Yeah.
Well, so Andy, like, even though you do all of your stuff, and I love your work. It's some of the best in terms of DMB content that you can get nowadays. And even though you're much more focused on native recording, doing your post processing in the later bit, what benefits or pluses do you see to the live streaming model that we've seen come out of like the DMB couch tour community and even like some smaller communities, especially in the jam scene, that do have a little bit of a couch tour like following, but not to that extreme?
Well, some of the benefits that I saw immediately was being able to see it live is still, don't get me wrong, I love watching my videos. And I know people have messaged me and they thank me a lot for my videos too, but there's still nothing quite like seeing it as it's happening right then and there, as opposed to watching a video of it later. And I guess sort of an analogy I could use would be, like if you DVR a live sporting event for a team that you're following for, a finals, and you're trying not to ruin it, and you wait till you go home and watch it. It's not the same. I mean, you're gonna get that experience to some degree, but it's not always the same. So the difference, I think, there is just knowing that you're experiencing it live right then and there with that person, and I think that there's a lot to be put into that.
Yeah, and speaking, that's a great analogy as far as the live sports thing. And this is actually where a flaw of live streaming is it's like when I was a kid watching hockey in standard definition.
Hmm.
I mean, I love hockey. As a kid, the Whalers were here right, right through when I was 6. And the one thing I struggled with though is that on TV, the hockey product was not as good when you had the box TV with the bad signal.
Yeah.
When hockey moved to high definition, when basketball moved to high definition, there was more I was more likely to sit there the first couple years I had HDTV and truly appreciate the game, and then that also made me want to go to the actual games because I was getting a HD look, say, hey, this is even a clearer picture. And it made me actually to then go to sporting events. I would say from 21 all the way through to a couple before to the pandemic, I was going to so many big sporting events, even more than I was going to DMV shows. So I think that the things you do, Andy, the things Copperpot does, where you give a high quality shot of the show. I don't think it keeps people at home. I think it makes people want to go out.
Yeah.
And even John Mayer said, and he understands, he said in his statement yesterday, he said, listen, I'm not against tapers. I'm okay if you upload that thing as soon as I walk off stage. He said, I encourage that. And the video I shot from the back corner of the TD Garden is just over 30,000 views. Someone shot a video from the floor, center of the floor in Toronto. That's over 40,000 now. And this isn't even, we didn't even take tape or audio. Like have time to ask Zach for, hey, can I use this? Or the Toronto guy didn't have time. We just wanted to get it up as soon as possible with cell phone audio from not where you are usually at the front of the pit, but we're in the back or the middle of the floor, and people just swarm to these videos, and they're getting tons of views. Individual videos for this John Mayer show tour are through the roof. So I think that the recordings that are in high quality, that have taper audio, the taper audio itself are great promotional tools to
Yeah,
actually get fans to buy a ticket when DNB or when John Mayer comes to their city.
that's a good point. I
Absolutely.
like that.
I like that as well. And even like to the point, and I think that's why the taper model has worked for so many bands, and it's why we've seen it been in use for well over 60 years, is that while some people on face value would think that it would diminish ticket sales or entice people to just stay home, like, oh, well, why would I go to a show if I can just wait a couple of weeks and go on a mailing list and get a new cassette of, whatever show I wanted to because someone was already there and recorded it for me and I can listen to it at my own leisure.
Mm,
Like, that's great, but it's not a substitute for actually being there. And in effect, what those tapes have done and what those videos do is it says, oh, maybe I was on the fence about this tour. I want to see what it was really like. And then they're blown away by this incredible show that's even just only captured through the lens of a camera, and they want to experience that themselves. I mean, we saw unprecedented demand for a lot of these John Mayer shows, if we're keeping it in that realm. I mean, ticket sales were through the roof, platinum sales were through the roof, scalp tickets were through the roof. And the fact that we have to now see a solo tour redux, we're doing it again in the fall, and they're going to be taking this out into Europe in uh, in the spring of next year. I mean, clearly the desire and demand is there. And I mean, not to trail too much off, but I found a lot of people to be annoyed and say, oh, well, John's being so uppity about the live streaming. Is it really that big of a deal, though? He's not saying you can't videotape it. If you want to videotape it, just go for it and fine. Post
Yep.
it up to YouTube afterwards. Go ahead. Just while he's up there on the stage, let him do what he's going to do.
Right. And I think that with John, he's he really has he's like a comedian right now, because comedians develop their set over 5, 6, 7 shows, and they keep getting better. They're vulnerable, and yeah, people know, you go see Chris Rock, he's gonna curse, he's gonna be edgy, but sometimes he may say something that, okay, that doesn't need, we don't need that live to all these people, and that's why he takes the phones. But I think with John, he's looking at somebody's poster, and then he's playing that. He's testing out a song that's new, and he doesn't have Carter behind him. He doesn't have uh, Tim Reynolds behind him. He's literally putting himself out there, and doesn't tour nearly as much as DMB does. So I think that there is a unique circumstance for what John is doing. If you guys have not heard about this tour, again, he's literally reading stuff off signs. He's playing songs that he has not. He's playing the equivalent of, build you a house for some of these shows. He's playing, you think about some classic DNB songs that haven't been played for years. He's literally digging into songs that never even like made a live show hardly. So it's a thing. And I think one of the things, some people are saying online, how does John know if people are live streaming or if they are recording for later? And I think one of the things with live streaming is most times you're holding your phone like this, right? And also, I think John is seeing people are texting, and with the live streams, people are chatting back. So he's not just seeing people put their phones up; he's seeing people, you know, fidgeting on their phones, chatting with the live chat, you know, turning up stuff, and they're kind of, So I think it is something where, for I understand why Dave doesn't mind it, but the loud full band behind him, or Dave and Tim, he at least has Tim right there. But all eyes are on John. I think he's just seeing a lot of people just on their phone fidgeting, lights, people with the live stream, the light is literally their camera flashlight is on with the live stream. And That's why I think he's saying, listen, for me, vulnerable by myself on a big stage, I need to have this live stream thing stop. Just record it.
Well, even in that sense, to kind of go with that, and I'd be curious to get Andy's thoughts on this. When it comes to the difference between what you see the average couch tour person do versus how you go and record a show, tell us a little bit about your process, about how you feel. Like, what do you do to make sure that A, you get the best show video possible, and B, make sure you're not a nuisance to other concert goers?
So it's really a simple setup. If you've noticed, or if anyone has seen my videos and noticed, I go and I'm usually at the same spot because Dave will have, those speaker boxes on the right up on the edge of the stage, usually 4 or 5 of them spread out across the front of the
Yeah,
pit. And I'm
those front
usually
wedge monitors.
right, and I'm usually right in front and just to the left of one. That way, because the way I hold my phone horizontally with the microphone and the speaker on the right side, that speaker is feeding right into the microphone, or at least my iPhone's microphone. And all I'm doing is looking, usually if I'm looking straight, I've got, Fonz dead center, and a little to my left, and I got, Carter and Dave. And then to the right, I got Rashawn and Jeff, who are always fun to watch. And then, I just tilt a little further left, and, I'll get Tim and Buddy. But that's my sweet spot. And that's where I found the audio is the best, because I just get the speaker feed, right into the microphone on the iPhone. And the new iPhones are just phenomenal when it comes to picture quality and capturing audio. And now you can do it with, people are always asked, how do you keep it, so perfectly straight? What are you using? As well, the iPhones now too, they have that video stabilizer. So a lot of that, if anyone has seen me, and a lot of people have seen me at shows, I'm grooving and I'm dancing along with the show too. But you wouldn't really notice or know it watching the video. I'm absolutely enjoying myself, but that's where I like to stay, and that's kind of my go-to spot, and that's what I'm used to, at least as far as capturing everything. And I've gone to so many shows, and I've seen so many songs where, yes, there'll be variations, like everybody knows, even though you'll see the same song a few times through the tour. It's not always the same, but you get a general idea of what's coming up next in the song. So I kind of know the parts of a song when they're going to focus on Jeff and Rashawn, so I can kind of start painting over and zooming in and getting ready for their little spotlight time. Or when, Carter's going off on the drums during Crush, or, when Timmy's going to start taking over during 41. So I kind of can anticipate and know that based on what they're playing. And that also kind of helps my, I guess you could say, production, when I can anticipate what's going to happen and just be ready for it.
Right. And I like to add to that too. As someone asked, someone pointed out, Anita said, you know, something needs to be said about affecting other concert goers' experience. One thing I do is whenever I'm in the pit, if I'm not at the rail, I'm in the back.
Mm-hmm.
So that, and even so, I'm cognizant of the people behind me. I try to get seats higher up too. Like I loved at Guilford being right behind the soundboard railing for that first "Fool in the Rain." Like I try to get seats that I can get a good view without. I don't raise my phone above my head
Exactly.
unless somebody's
That's the
walking
number
by.
one rule.
Yeah,
That's my philosophy too. Every time I am recording, everyone around me, I'm always making sure they know exactly what I'm doing. And if I ever get in the way, all they gotta do is punch or kick me, and I'll adjust. But that's never happened. But I'm very cognizant. I usually keep the phone, never goes above my eye level, and I usually keep it right at my chest. So it's never really in the way. And I did go to the back of the pit for the first time recording a show, Gorge Night 2 this past year. And I was on the back rail, and I had my back towards an aisle between sections 10, whatever those two are, kind of in the corner. So there was no one directly behind me. And I was able to hold my phone a bit higher. And I double checked behind me, and everyone was like, nope, not in the way. You're good. You're good. You're good. So as long as everyone's fine, and I always double check to make sure, because the last thing I want to do is impede on someone else's experience who's there just because I want to record it for myself and everybody else. But the back of the pit was actually surprisingly a great spot to record. I may do that again. If I can't get close enough to where I like to be on the front, then I'll just turn around and find my new spot back in the back of the pit.
Well, even in terms of like audio in that sense, the while being up front in the pit, I've been on the rail a handful of times. It's a fun thing to do. If you're looking for the best sense of where you could get good audio inside of the pit, the back railing will always be your best bet, especially if you can try and center yourself, relatively speaking, right in front of one of the stacks. So if you can kind of catty corner yourself off, but you'll also get a wide pan shot depending if on your house right or house left.
Mhm.
And in my opinion, every time I've ever been in the pit, especially when I go towards the back, because that's where if I have a pit ticket, I will record. It usually tends to be a much chiller space. No one's really kind of angry, and especially if you're off to the sides, no one really cares about what you're doing. So you can go and throw
Yeah.
yourself up high if you wanted to, and as long as nobody's complaining, nobody cares. But that even goes back to the fact of what Marcus was saying is, well, how are people finding out if someone's actually live streaming or if they're just recording? And what it comes down to is, especially we've seen a lot of issues not just in DMB and John Mayer in terms of concert etiquette, especially post pandemic. People are pretty terrible about being considerate about other people inside of large social gatherings. And in addition to the fact of like Mayer's team admitting that they've been looking around for live streams and actively telling people to stop it and to cut it, um, the biggest thing is that, especially if you're just considering keeping your video like either up to your eyes or up at your chest, or even for me when I record, making sure I'm not putting my tripod immediately in someone's sight lines and my mics are up in the air well above where anyone's going to see them, no one's going to care about that. Management's not going to care about it. Audience is not going to care about it. And it's just common courtesy. We all came here for the same reason. Don't be a dick about it.
Exactly.
Right. And I think speaking of that, the same goes for the management of these artists. I believe there needs to be, in John's situation, the failure was they walked up to somebody who runs the John Mayer Solos page and asked them mid show, hey, can you turn off, can you not live stream? I think if there's an issue, they need to have language and the ribbon boards across the stadium. They need that every entrance should have something. People waiting in line, there should be some sort of thing at security. Because the thing I didn't like about John's team, they were kind. No one said they were mean, but there was there was not the venue, right? And Zach and I talked about how venues don't get they don't understand fully, and sometimes they'll go rogue. But this was actually John's management saying, walking up to people and telling them to stop. Someone on TikTok had one at MSG that went viral recently. But I just think that that if an artist or band wants to do something, they need to really be proactive about it and not in the middle of a show cut someone off from recording.
So I'll give you a perfect example. One of my favorite artists ever is Steven Wilson of Porcupine Tree. He's a progressive rock guy. He's been doing music for the better part of 30 years. And they just recently put out a brand new album after a more than 10-year hiatus. And they came back over from England and said, we're going to do some shows in the US, but they were very clear. And when I went to go and see them at the new MSG Fenway or whatever it is. And when you got into the actual theater, displayed for everybody to see on the stage was a banner in the back. And it said, no video, no audio, no live stream, no nothing. This was a completely, you put your phones down. You are not supposed to have anything playing. And ushers were told, and it was explicitly stated, like, if you see someone videoing, take it, like, tell them to put it down. And the rule was is that for the 2 sets of the show, you couldn't videotape, you couldn't audio record, of course, and you couldn't live stream. But Steven made a point, and he said it after the first song. He said, we're just going to be here and enjoy our time together. And then for the encore, you guys can take your phones out, do whatever you want. I'm perfectly fine with it.
Gotcha. Yeah. And there's actually, as much as I've ramped up my recording of stuff, I enjoy going to smaller acts at our local place, Infinity Hall, and just not recording anything. I enjoy going to Goose shows or Dead and Company shows or any act like Fish where I know the next morning I'll have access to a live stream. I think part of what drives me with D&B and John Mayer is I've seen both of these acts a lot of times now. I yeah, I definitely admit that parts of that Boston show, while I enjoyed it, there's some moments where if I wouldn't been recording it, I would have been like, oh, like I listened back to your tape, I'm like, oh wow, he did that. I think that I know I understand I'm sacrificing part of my experience to record, but I have a passion to share this with others because without, if you got to understand, without Copper Pot's videos, I'm not even on here, right? Without um, other people like Andy Mendoza, I'm not even as motivated to understand the impact that these videos have for people across the country and across the world. And so I find joy in spreading joy. But if they did have some sort of live stream for D&B for John Mayer, I understand John Mayer not having a Nugs package because it's just different. He's doing some cool stuff, but like the typical tour, he doesn't have as much variety as Dave. But if there was an option available for either of them, I'm not going to record it because I know it's a live stream.
Absolutely. And I mean, even if you look, I mean, if you look at the stats from the solo acoustic tour that John just started, I mean, to a degree, like, yeah, there is some variability and variety, but we're still seeing, a good half of the set list that is pretty much the same every single show. But to even counter that argument to you, Metallica, which plays the exact same set list every night, with the exception of this new tour that they're doing, has been on Nugs for years, and they put up their shows the next day. And I think we've talked about this before, where it used to be that doing desk recordings and releasing them to the masses, especially even like 20 years ago, let's say, was prohibitively expensive for the idea of having to go and put it onto CD so that way you could go and grab it from a rapid CD press that's parked outside of the venue,
Yeah.
or having to distribute it through thumb drives. God forbid that was the case. It was ridiculously expensive to do all that, and that was just audio. Forget video. I remember years ago when there was a company called Deep Rock Live that lasted for about 6 months, that their whole shtick was in like 2007 or 2008. They had a studio built that you would go and purchase tickets to, where an act would come in, and the whole thing was they had an interactive chat that would come down, very similar to like Twitch nowadays, and you could go and pick. I remember I went to a Disturbed show that they did through there, where it was a small studio audience, and they just played an entire set to a bunch of cameras in a studio, and that was revolutionary, well ahead of the time. But now, in the year of 2023, the ability to get board audio out, not only the next day, sometimes even an hour or so after the show,
Right.
or getting 4K video streams through a service like Nugs, or even doing it onto a big service like YouTube, it's not as expensive as you would think. A lot of the stuff to actually do it from the professional side is rather cheap in the grander scale of touring, which is why I think that especially acts on the level of DMB and John Mayer not offering that kind of access to their fans that have that kind of desire is mind-boggling.
Right. I
Yeah.
remember going to Allman Brothers show and waiting for the CDs at the Beacon,
Mhm.
soundboard, waiting there for about an hour. So
And it'd
Andy,
be right there. You take those CDs right home with you.
yeah,
Yeah.
Andy, were you gonna say something?
Well, first, want to make sure if you can hear me okay
Yeah.
now.
Way better. Way better.
Perfect. All right. Sorry about that, guys. Some
That's all
technical
good.
issues there. So, yeah, I mean, it's, I know it's gone around on the boards to why, man, I would pay, you should have different tiers, at least for Dave, um, on your memberships. You have your $35 one like normal, but man, I would pay upwards of $100 to have, I don't know, a consistent video download to every other show or however many shows you want to give. That would be awesome. I mean, why they don't do that, I don't know, because the equipment's there. I mean, hell, I'm not trying to insult them or anything. It's like, man, you got the fans doing it with their phones, you know?
Well,
Right.
even think about it from the fish angle. Like, let's take for example, because now they just started recently doing the multicam video where you could go through nugs, and they started just doing the full tour. But even doing one stop where you would get a 4K stream, what are they charging nowadays? Like $20, maybe $25
Per stream.
per stream. And again, granted, that's expensive, but I know that they also have like,
I'd pay it.
but also they have packages where I think like if you spend, I think it's like $200 or something, you get the whole summer tour now, and you
Yeah.
get MP3s of it later, or like lossless audio of it. You have access to it for streaming, and you also have the video that you can go and watch at any point. And it's just this. The equipment's already there. They have the cameras. You have
They're already recording the audio. I mean, look, I mean, Dave Matthews Band is releasing live tracks consistently 4 or 5, maybe not 4 or 5, 2 to 3 times a year from shows back in the 90s. It's there, and I know the video capture is there too.
Yeah, I mean, they've got a multicam system that's running every day, and the fact that, like, just purely in archival footage, I mean, could you imagine the amount of money that could be generated by the band, even if you just look at it from a purely capitalistic monetary value? Like, that's found money. Not to mention, as Marcus has brought up, a lot of the fans of DMB, they aren't the college age kids anymore that had no money, that had to go and sell grilled
Yeah,
cheese to get to the next tour date. These are people that have well-funded
jobs.
401ks and jobs.
Yeah, and even adding on to that, I always joke around with shout out to Trish DMB. Like Trish has to she can buy a plane ticket to a show the day before and go. Like that's something that none of us could do at 21.
No.
But where she's at now, she has flexibility during the summer. We have teachers
I've done that
that
so
can
many
just
times.
that can go ahead and they can drive 8 hours to a show last minute because they have the summer off. I did want to just show this because one of the things that I've been seeing, I haven't seen elaboration on it, but a lot of people with the John Mayer situation are saying that management for John Mayer is trying to take it's a money reason why they don't want live streams. I just want to show this to people right here. This is the Chicago show for John Mayer solo. If anyone thinks that the live streams are killing ticket sales, this same type of venue last year for the Sob Rock tour, the upper deck wouldn't have been sold out. The side stage wouldn't have been sold out. Even going to Seattle, let's refresh here. Now, Seattle, the only reason there's tickets is because the blue seats they're all platinum seats.
Platinum seats.
Everything else is pretty much verified resale or the top of the top. But this is Seattle. And like
And
I said,
even going to your Chicago example, United Center has 23,000 seats, I think, or
yeah,
something like that.
it's a
Even if
big
you
venue.
black out the back of it, let's knock off 3K and call it 20,000
20,000.
just to make it even. I don't think that people truly understand the idea that a single person, there's no backing band, no nothing. This is just a dude is consistently selling out NHL and NBA capacity arenas night after night with ridiculous face value tickets to
Yeah.
begin with. I mean, we're talking $150 just to start, just to get you in the door, and that's the bleeds
Mhm.
upstairs. Not even talking about verified resale or anything like that. So the idea of saying like, "Oh, well, it's all about money," the money's already there. Don't worry, everybody's going and making sure that John can go and pay for his, his villa over at the Yellowstone Club in
If the
Montana.
money
We're
wasn't
good.
there, they wouldn't be touring.
Exactly.
And I think I heard you say earlier as well, Marcus, that he's starting to lean more towards a variety in the set lists, and this kind of goes back into the point we were making earlier, is some of these live streams, they may even generate more ticket sales and more attendance because you can watch one live stream or a recorded show later on and say, that was a freaking awesome show. But you know what? That's not the same show that they're going to perform every night. So if you really want to get that experience, you got to get yourself a ticket and go, because it's not going to be the same thing every time.
Yeah, and
And
and that's what's happening with John Mayer. He's saving, it's about 2 to 3 songs any given night that, just like I said, like a comedian has most of their ideas ready to go.
yeah,
But the 2 to 3 songs that could be super rare deep cuts or from somebody's sign
man,
are
it's awesome.
why these sales are going on. And the way that people found out about it and actually saw the crowd reaction is because the
The live
video
streams.
recordings, yeah, the live streams, but I would even say it's more of the video recordings, because the other thing with John Mayer, this is just John Mayer specific. I've said it in the video. Their live streams only at most have 30 people. The
Really?
most I've seen,
It's tiny.
and this is just
That blows my mind.
but it's a different, like, even this is why Mayer fans are going crazy. The fans that aren't into Dave Matthews or the jam bands, they're used to seeing Ed Sheeran or Harry Styles or anyone, doesn't even matter, even if they're into alt rock, right? They're used to seeing artists who play the same set list or maybe mix up 3 or 4 shows in LA or New York. So they
Hmm.
bring out a guest in LA or New York, and yeah, it's a great show. But the fans are going nuts and buying these tickets because they've never been to a Dave Matthews or Fish type show. So the fact that John is playing hotel bathroom song, the fact that John is responding to some people make signs for hundreds of shows a year, thousands of shows a year, I would say. And 99% of the time, if it's not a hit, that artist,
It's not going to get played.
Even Dave at SPAC, he'll just play. He won't. He's not gonna. He just, and that's okay. That's just that Dave doesn't do that, and he'll do it for somebody who's has a story. They lost a loved one, or and then there's a special. But like,
Extenuating circumstance.
yeah.
Yeah, I
But
think like the only time I've actually ever seen him do that was at Hartford this year when he pulled out "Steady as We Go" from a literal sign request from somebody on the rail. Otherwise, that's not his shtick. He does not do that. That's
and
not
that,
his thing.
to be fair,
Um,
that song was also played throughout that tour. So
Right.
it was like, okay, like if somebody asked for Machead, he's not going to play. But if the equivalent to John Mayer, if someone has a sign, as long as he can kind of put together 30 seconds of that song,
He'll
he'll
give you
put
something.
that 30 seconds
Yeah.
together. He's done that this tour. So I do, guys, I do want to bring on Michael, um, because Michael has been in the background. I know he does live stream. We want to talk to him to get some of his thoughts
Sure.
on this. So let's bring him on. Michael, can you hear us?
Well, no audio.
Mm-mm.
There you go. There we go. How's that?
There we go.
Excellent.
Yep.
Good, good.
Yeah.
Hi, Mike.
Thank you. Still
So-
trying to get used. Zach, Andy, big fans. How you doing?
Good to
So,
meet you.
Michael,
Doing well.
tell us about what you do as far as live streaming and sharing the content that from shows with fans.
Well, fortunately, with my live streaming, after all the years of following the band, what I started to do was I felt that sharing my experience of the show with the fans at home that couldn't attend the show, that's what I try to bring to it. I can't do what Andy does. I can't do what Zach does. I'm not there for audio. I'm not there for video whatsoever. And you know that when you're watching my stream. I just happen to do it because people happen to enjoy experience the concert with me. I don't know why, but it seems to work. I've also found that it's more of I'd rather do a pre-show, post-show like Marcus does with the fans. I think that works a lot better. Live streaming, it's a different beast. It's not for audio. It's not for video.
Mm-mm.
I don't care what you say or whatever. Like Marcus makes valid points. No one watches John Mayer live streams. 30 people. That's it, man. No one's going to sit and watch it because it's not worth it to sit and watch that. The only way they're going to do it is if they're getting something else out of it. That's why I feel with the live streaming goes.
That's interesting. I've never kind of thought about it in that way. So almost kind of like you've got concert buddies to that degree that you're bringing into your space, but those concert buddies aren't with you; they're through your phone. This is actually I've never thought of it that way. That's actually kind of cool.
That's kind of how it started. It started out where I was in a bad spot and I had an extra seat next to me. So as a fan, I didn't really feel like I was affecting anybody. So I kind of streamed the first time. It was right after COVID, Jones Beach, and whatever. And then at Mohegan, we kind of go ahead.
No, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead, keep going.
So at Mohegan, we kind of had some extra time to kill, and I kind of for the first time ever turned the camera around and talked with the people because we had time to kill. And, it started out with, what's the best way to get your poster? What's the best way to do this? And off we went. So that's kind of what my deal is with live streaming. I don't try to, like in the beginning, I tell straight up, you're not going to get a video out of me. You're not going to get any kind of audio that you want to replicate or watch. It's not going to happen. You're going to get the back of somebody's head. That's it. It's like I would literally dance and hold the phone like I'm talking right now. You can see me talking like this. So imagine what it's like being next to me this show.
Well, that's about 90% of everyone's view and most of the show anyways is the back of somebody's head. So I mean, it's pretty authentic in my opinion. But also I wonder about, I just can't wrap my head around that number of average of 30 people per live stream on Mayor. And I wonder if part of that attributes to maybe there's not necessarily a community set up around live streaming. Like, well, for instance, on the Dave's equivalent, we have, everyone knows about that Facebook group, the D&B Couch Tour, but that's the sole purpose, and they have thousands and thousands of members. And so I'm wondering if it's just they don't have that exactly, and I'm wondering if they don't have that exposure quite yet because it also brings to the forefront. We always forget. Well, most Dave fans kind of always forget how spoiled we are. We're so used to that because they do different shows every year. And Mayor fans, I guess previous to now, knew it was going to be majority of the same set every time and one and done. So they didn't cultivate that culture.
So I will say this because I'm a John Mayer fan, but I also the gear that he has is what I also am into. So John Mayer fans, the actual gear community, people buying like the Klon Senator is one of the most coveted pedals in modern guitar like lore. As far as right now, it's one of the hardest ones to get. The community is more into his electric guitar, his acoustic guitar, his people literally will spend $5,000. Not everyone, but there are some fans that will spend $5,000 that have that money to have the same equipment he has, from the pedal board to the guitar to the amp or cabinet that he has. Right. The other thing is because they don't tour as frequently, the actual tour community, as far as let's all come together and figure out how to live stream, let's all come together and figure out how to tape and record, it's not as cohesive because John just doesn't tour as much. Now, what I will say is, if you go on Instagram after a show, if you go on Reddit, the Reddit community, I just started to jump into the Reddit community. There are tons of fans, but it's just absolutely. It's more of an idea. People wait for the actual videos to come out because that Boston video that I have, that's triple what D&B at MSG Night 2 did for views. And people know me from my post-show streams. So with John Mayer fans, it's people all kind of it's like bears out of hibernation. When someone when
Yeah.
they look at the set list and say, "Oh, John played comfortable," or "something's missing," or he played Cover and Rain, or first St. Patrick's Day. He has a song called St. Patrick's Day. He played it the next day, his next show after St. Patrick's Day. People come out of their little caves and they all go online, and it happened to be my video this time. Toronto, same thing, the Toronto show. People flock to that video. On Instagram, people flock to not the live stream itself, but that same John Mayer Solo's live stream page. They flock to the whatever person took the video vertically. They don't even take they recorded it vertically. And I'm like, dang it, you should have did it horizontally. But like,
you get grief for it. They're not happy. Whatever you do,
it'll get views out the
Yeah.
door.
Well, even to kind of speak to that, we are also spoiled by the fact that Dave and the band itself consistently just is always on the road. They haven't missed a summer tour, with the exception of the pandemic. They haven't missed one like in over 30 years. It's every year. And then especially the thing with John is, and Marcus and I have talked about this to some degree, John is in a weird transitory period right now. I mean, he had his sort of coming of age when in the early 2000s, when he was coming through the club scene. He got blown up on pop bubblegum songs like Your Body is a Wonderland and all that, made his tons and tons of money doing that. But then especially after like his Playboy interview in 2007, I think it was, where he kind of went dormant for a while and had more of a reawakening in like 2009 or so, when he got more folksy, when he started doing like the Born and Raised album. And then when he jumped in to be the front man of Dead and Company
With Dead,
which has pretty much been his life for the past, God, how many years are we on this now? 5, 6 years, 7 years. And now with the fact that this is absolutely the last year of Dead and Company, because it's done. It's done. John is kind of trying to find his identity again, which is what we saw with the Sob Rock tour and how we're seeing with the solo tour. And where that comes back to the fans is that the fan base itself has become so fragmented over the years. You've kind of seen John been way too busy, playing Jerry Garcia tunes for the past 7 years, that a lot of like those old fans from the 2000s and early 2010s, to some degree, logically, they grew up and tuned out. It just kind of was what happened. But now that community is getting supercharged, especially with this tour, and I don't think that people understand the sheer positive reception that this tour has gotten across the board from everybody. Even like non-John Mayer fans are talking about how well this tour is going, and it's blowing up the industry itself. They're talking about how literally one man is selling out these kind of
we
arenas.
have money. It's like when Springsteen tours or when Bon Jovi tours or anybody. We have money now. It's like back in the day we used to have to scrape together nickels and dimes to go follow the band, but we got big kids money now. So
big kids.
It doesn't slow us down. So we just go ahead and we plow through, and wherever we want to go, we do it.
Absolutely.
And
Hey, Michael,
something like
just
Mark.
touch on, you had a point about, you were saying, and you made a comment in my video, and I see it in the chat. You said it's bigger than ticket sales. Think about subscriptions. What were you?
So I've said on my streams before, the cameras they're all using now I see them for private sale. These cameras are all automated. They're running through a control board. All they got to do is plug us in and give us a subscription. Andy hit on it. He hit the nail on the head before. A subscription service with us with webcams, give us feeds. I mean, we'll pay a monthly fee for that. I think the band doesn't know. I think these management companies don't know. They see it there. They see ability to have that live stream feed, and it's just a monster that's unlimited money at this point in time. I mean, think about the ad space on it to start and everything else. I think it's management going, wait a second, before you say okay to this, let's be sure we want to allow it.
Yeah.
Okay, just put the brakes on it. Give us a minute to look at it, and we'll get back to you, John, Or it's truly an artist thing that, like Marcus said, that I never thought of because I'm so conscious of it. I don't even have the chat going on my live streams or anything. I keep it down, nothing above the shoulders. That's the rule. That maybe people are interacting and everything else, and maybe it's truly a distraction to him and he does not want it. And if that's what it is, that's great. But I think it's a combination of both. I mean, when I first heard John Mayer, interesting story, I thought it was Dave Matthews back in the day, back in 97, when they dropped that on the radio, and that's how staticky it was back. And I'm like, what is this? And, you had no way to find it in John, and it kind of grew up with him, so maybe he does have this thing where he's solo now. He doesn't know what like Zach was saying, he doesn't know what he wants to do and everything else. But I think a lot of it, like Dave's accepted it with open arms. This is what I want to do. Tape, do whatever. There's this live streaming media is you see YouTube's going that way and everything else. It's a beast and no one knows how to contain it. That's where people want to be. That's why the streams and stuff do well, because people instant. They want to interact with their people. They want to, now can John sit up there and have a stream in front of him? And now he can look down at that stream and have that feeding into him. And you're paying a premium to see that. Or an artist doing that. It's before they shut the door on it, before he allows it in. And then you can't, once you start,
it's hard to take it away. Absolutely.
No.
So just all those are varying opinions on it.
No, and I think that's a valid point. And I think that especially one of the biggest differences that I think one of the best ways to kind of marry the best of both worlds would be to kind of find a way to incorporate that professional grade house video quality and audio to get sent out to like members of the fandom, but also incorporate that community feeling that everybody gets inside of these couch tour streams. If there's a way similar to like a Twitch chat where you can literally just have everybody talking, everybody going and saying, "Oh, I love this song. It's so nice. This song means so much to me," or the band's on it tonight or whatever. And that would be so cool. I think that there's a very, very large contingency of the fandom that would pay a significant amount of money to be able to do that for a summer.
And it's happening, it's happening already throughout the fans. And I know it's not always necessarily about the money, because that's not necessarily the way how the band thinks, but it's still business, right? And that extra money can go into anything else you want to do with your production. It doesn't necessarily have to go to your pockets to make you feel worse about yourself because you're raking in more money. You can put that money elsewhere. How you can put it into Bama Works, but I mean, if everyone's already doing it, why not be the center and have control of it and provide it yourself? And that way, you're providing the premium experience directly from the band and whatever show you wish to offer. I mean, like you said, I'll pay it.
Yeah. Big boy money.
Absolutely.
We definitely would. We'd pay it. It's all there.
The demand is there. It's just creating the model for it.
No, without a doubt. You'd get the experience of the community together, and it's just, that's what it's about.
Or do a trial. Do it at the big venues. Do the 2 nights at Alpine. Do the Gorge. Do Deer Creek or Clippage, whatever it is now. It's Deer Creek. Do those venues to start off.
I'm the happiest when I know that somebody's down front and I can turn off my phone. I'll be dead honest with you guys. I love live streaming, but I love the community. I love the pre-show. I love walking in. But when it comes time, if you're going to tell me you got 4K ready to go, like I said, Zach's probably taping it. Andy's got it on video.
We're good.
You know what?
Yeah.
I'll see you guys later. I'm tired. It's whatever. But to know that's there.
Well,
that's exactly how I feel.
So it's an interesting point, and I'd be curious to kind of hear round robin from you guys. Let's put the hypothetical out there that DMB decides to say, "Hey, listen, we're going to be offering a live stream of shows."
Sirius XM show. Oh, how much money would they make? I'm sorry.
Yeah, but
I didn't even let. But come on,
I get it. Let's say that they're going to do a live video broadcast of the whole Gorge weekend, for example, and they say, you know, starting at some point, we're going to start doing like every other weekend, we're going to do video broadcasts and all that. Do you think that the idea of offering a professional option would at all hurt the community that we've seen be created as the couch tour, or would you think that it could possibly reinvigorate it?
I think what would happen is if we have access to that stream, you're going to have Discord chats of your friends chatting about that. Or if that stream has a chat, or like if warehouse members can all chat in special groups with the video, maybe that's not phase one or what. But
No, that's what the live stream gamers are doing.
yeah,
That's
but
what they
Yeah.
all do.
I would just say this because this happens. I've done this on Wednesdays with DMB friends. We'll watch a Copper Pop video. Everyone clicks start at 8 p.m. and we have a Discord chat and we chat about it. So I think that the community
awesome.
will still be there. Yeah, I'm not going to record. I'm telling you, if that was to happen, I'm not going to record shows anymore. I'm retiring from that. But I'm going to still come back and talk to friends. I'm still going to have my Discord chats after the show. If people aren't at the show and I'm at Hartford, I'm going to be sharing on my Discord chat. Hey, this is what happened. Check out the live stream at this song.
Yeah.
If you were asleep, I'm at the Gorge. Let's say I'm at the Gorge. So Michael and I are at the Gorge. We're East Coasters, and I'll tell people from the East Coast the next morning, hey guys, Michael and I were at the Gorge, and this song right here, he faked out of Jimmy thing, faked out of Don't Drink the Water, and then started playing Machead. So I'm gonna be like go back to the stream at this point and watch that. Okay.
Yeah. So
absolutely.
no, to your question, Zach, I don't think it would kill things like how until they would offer something like that towards every show. Couch tour is going to flourish. I mean, they're gaining members, I believe, all the time, and even through tour season. Because even if you do the destination venues, like say in your example, Gorge, or just the other every other weekend, you're still going to have the people that are there at all the other shows in between, you know, like in Rogers, Arkansas, you know, or Virginia Beach, you know, all those places, they're still going to want to see it. So unless they are going to give anyone an option to where they can do every single show, then I think there's always going to be a demand and a want for Couch Tour because we can't get enough Dave Matthews Band, and that's been proven time and time every year. When we say, "Oh, I'm just going to go 2-3 shows," and that turns into 15. I mean,
It's crazy how
just,
that happens.
Yeah, so I don't think it would eliminate those communities at all. I really don't.
No, without a doubt. The couch tour to me is just a place I can go to. I just want to bring people in to see my band. My band. That's it. Not like I say that because this is a general discussion about John Mayer and everything else. I'm not trying to say like it's my band, the band that I choose to see. That's why I live stream the community. I think bringing it back to why John Mayer is not. I think it's they'll get everything together, and I think they can do that and offer it to us. And then the Discord, the chats, and everything else, and I'll still do it because it gives me the opportunity to tell somebody, hey, the line for the warehouse is over here at this gate today, or when you walk in. I know when I've seen somebody walk into a venue, and I've seen the venue before, like I live streamed in the pit walk. That I think is cooler than
that is the cool thing.
You'll shoot. People don't understand that, and somebody might miss out because of they didn't understand the way the lottery process works in our, that sort of thing. We can offer that as fans, as John Mayer fans. I don't know. Do they do any of that, Marcus? Any sort of
they have some. They did some VIP experiences, if you will. They don't have a warehouse or any community like that. And Marcus, correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I'm 99% sure on that.
Right. There's no fan club for that. There's VIP options that get you a lot of different swag and even entrances, but that's it.
Mhm.
Yeah, you just buy your stuff and you go.
Yeah, so Dave Matthews is really it's a rare animal. So, but like in a presence of a vacuum, what do they say? You know, if nobody's out there shooting anything on John Mayer solo, if he hasn't done anything solo, people are clamoring for content.
Absolutely.
And if the management sees a 30-second video of or a 3-minute video of that, you know, Marcus puts up or Andy puts up or something, and they see it take off like that, I don't know. I mean, that algorithm thing is a whole it's a
Well,
whole
even
nother
to,
animal.
but to some degree, and it goes back to the statement that John made. He doesn't care about like the video itself being up. Even in the case of like Marcus's video, he and management have flat out said, and like I confirmed, especially when I was taping for them this year, like John is very adamant and he loves having tapers at his shows.
That
He's
whole
really chill with that. But when
that
it
whole
comes to
statement stinks of a PR rep, man. It's like it is. I'm sorry, the way it's written, because I agree with you, Zach. He's always been like, do whatever you want.
yeah, I mean, I
Now
guess.
they're like, wait a minute, like
Mm.
it affects
But
me.
you have to understand, Michael. You have to understand, in this modern society, he can't say, "Dude, you guys are annoying on your live streams. Cut it out." You
Yeah.
have
I mean,
to.
he can, but
He could,
He
but
could. I would.
You have to be gentle. You have to
Yeah,
be.
yeah.
It's
I'm a little, yeah.
It's okay
Yeah,
with being. And here's the thing, my thing is with John Mayer. He can be as fake and PR as he wants. When we're getting John Mayer calling out songs on actual posters,
Mhm.
this has literally, I know DMB, if they do a fall tour, all that stuff, I'm prioritizing John Mayer's tour over DMB this fall.
Because it's
Because
an album year too,
yeah,
man. That's not exactly
right.
fair.
Oh my
But
God, let's not
even if
talk
it
about
wasn't
that.
an album year, the fact that John, the reward and I'll close out on this, the reward, at least for John Mayer, the reward to have just 2 or 3 songs that he's calling off of a poster. He's said before he posts something he's on social media. He'll say this for some shows. What do you guys want me to play? And he'll play a deep cut that someone posted on a chat. That trumps even all the great things I love from D&B.
You know, I
This
get
is-
it, but that goes to what you were saying earlier. You know, John doesn't tour as often, so this is more of a rarity to where we're used to, like Zach pointed out, and also Dave fans note, Dave's toured every year for 30 something years. And even when they've taken off years, like in what, 11 and 17, they weren't really off. They had Caravan and Dave and Tim still went. You know, so I mean, we have a consistent 40 to 60 shows every summer. You don't get that. So I completely understand your view, your point in prioritizing that. But like you said, though, album year, and if it's a fall tour, I'm going Charlottesville. Well, I mean, I don't care if John's there. I'm going to go see Dave in Charlottesville.
Well, yeah,
Hey, is he going to Charlottesville? He has it doesn't sell
You know?
out. It doesn't sell. I think that's why that's a whole different discussion. But Charlottesville is an easier ticket than Mohegan Sun.
Yeah.
There were
Weird.
$2. There were like not $2. There were like $8 tickets to the Charlottesville 2018 run. So,
I
but
remember
anyway,
that.
guys,
That was
hey,
crazy.
it's been great. It is. We're at an hour 20, and I'm married now, so I can't be. You know,
I can't even believe you're out here.
Well,
Mark.
sorry, about 30
Where's
minutes
the
of that with my
buzzer?
audio issues.
We got to get the buzzer sound here. I'm married now, so I can't be staying up.
What are you doing in there?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. But guys, thank you for coming on. We'll definitely
Marcus.
I'll definitely be talking to you guys throughout the tour at the stops you guys are going to, and this has been great. I think it's been productive. It's been a nice conversation, and I will definitely see you guys very soon.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
Thank
I will
Marcus.
see
Thank
you
you.
soon, Marcus. Thank you so much
you
for
so much.
everything.
Take care, guys.
All right, take care.
Take care, all.
All right, so thank you all the guests, Andy, Zach, and Michael, and feel free to comment below. Also, if you watch this video and you want to talk about this subject for future DMB post-show streams, about live streams, about live recording, you just want to call in and talk about it, let me know. Because I think I want to hear everyone's, if you really are mad about live streams for John Mayer, or you're really adamant about defending live streams, if you hate live streams, if you hate live recordings, I want to hear those things because I don't believe in echo chambers. It is horrible to live in an echo chamber. One thing really quickly, I saw Anita had mentioned about the Mexico thing. Mexico should be exclusive. This was actually I think in the ants marching forums. So yeah, someone brought it up. I disagree with this, and this is why. Um, there are Fish does Mexico shows. Dead and Company does Mexico shows, and you can actually catch those stream. They actually have live streams. I think the Mexico situation, um, like I don't think just because you pay $10,000 you should get a set that nobody hears. As a matter of fact, neither does DMB. Sirius XM has released weeks. The last 3 weeks they've released every single show from Mexico, 3 shows in a row. I believe that people in Mexico should enjoy going to Mexico. They should not be guilted because they have the money to go to Mexico, but that audio should be shared with the community. Now, should people live stream? I don't mind it, but I will say this: like, I just don't believe in that. You pay $10,000, you pay $5,000, only you get to hear the set. Um, and because we're able to hear monsters at, because Zach taped it, Zach who was just on taped it, because we're able to hear that, it gives us hope for this album. That's like essentially that Monsters Dave and Tim acoustic that they played twice of the 2 of the 3 nights. That's marketing for the new album. So I don't think that should. I believe that nobody should shame anyone for having the money to go to Mexico, which is a whole different thing. And I think the bigger issue with Mexico, we talked to Zach during Mexico weekend, is actually the people talking and the people getting trashed and in literally speaking over some of the audio. That's the issue with Mexico. But and again on Ants Marching, someone got torn apart, rightfully so, in my opinion. But they were like, "Oh, nobody should access this." No, man, like the same Mexico format, other bands give you the live stream or an ability to listen to it later. So thank you guys for coming on. Definitely subscribe, hit the like button, tell a friend to tell a friend. The D&B post show stream will continue for this upcoming year. I don't believe I'm going to do the Mexico shows. If that changes, I'll let you know. But starting with the Texas shows, Texas Two Step, I will be coming on here. If you want to be on the stream, let me know because I am looking for people for the months for May and for June to hop on here. So thank you guys for watching. It's your boy Conserviz34. Definitely like, comment, subscribe. Thank you to the guests. Thank you to the supporters. That's it. I'm out. Peace.